yogis, how are you? My name is Crystal Gray. I'm the creator of the Yoga Goddess Academy, as well as the online yoga teacher training program and our online yoga and meditation membership. So I'm really excited. I've been interviewing some experts in their fields over the last couple of weeks and continuing throughout this week. Hey, Amanda, and I'm asking them all sorts of different questions about yoga teacher trainings and how to find the best one for you. And so today I'll be talking with her about, let's see if I can get her on. I'll be talking with Amanda, the Yoga Alliance, and what the Yoga Alliance is, and if you need to be registered with them or not, because there's advantages and there's, maybe disadvantages, or sometimes where it's important and sometimes where it's not so important. So we're going to dig into that today. Hey, Amanda, how are you?
Hey, Crystal, I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. And where are you joining us from today?
I'm in Mexico City.
Yay. So what's the weather like there today?
Yeah, it's gorgeous today. We've had a number of earthquakes, though, in the last week. So
I saw that. Intense. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you're safe.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
All right. So if you just want to tell us a little bit about your yoga journey and what you do with that yoga journey now, that would be awesome, just to give us a sense of who you are.
Yeah, definitely. So I started practicing yoga back in 2008, I think it was, when I was a university student. I was getting my business degree way back when, and my mom convinced me we should go once a week. And at that point, I'd come from a dance background. I was a gym enthusiast, and I was like not really sold on this yoga thing. It felt kind of like slow and boring. But something kept me coming back. I continued to go super irregularly through my university days. And then when I started working a corporate job, I totally fell in love with it. And I think it was connecting with, this hour that I had for myself on my mat where I could really turn inwards in this crazy busy world. And it was sometime during there that I decided, I want to get a teacher training, but I didn't actually get my teacher training for probably about 3 more years after that. Oh. And then, yeah, since then I've been teaching for 3 years since I did my teacher training. And when I started teaching, I found that there wasn't really any information on the business of yoga. Like, I just felt like it wasn't covered in my teacher training. I came home and I was like, I don't know how to get a job, or like how to teach this full time, or anything like that. And so I really started diving into the business side of yoga. And within 6 months of that, I started my podcast, which is MBO, Mastering the Business of Yoga. And since then, I've just, grown that. I've grown my online community and started working a lot more like one-on-one and in groups with yoga teachers.
Awesome. Awesome. And then you're going to be sharing a lot of that knowledge in our online yoga teacher training as well. So I'm really excited to just share your expertise with those people, so that when they do go through the training, they're not like, oh, now what do I do? I just went through this training and spent all this time and I don't know what I'm going to do with it. So it'll be really advantageous to have you on the panel for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I'm super excited to be involved with what you're doing with Yoga Goddess Academy, and to be able to offer that business of yoga side to trainees. I think that that's a really important thing that I didn't know to look for in a teacher training. I think that when you're going to look for a teacher training, you're so excited about this idea of sharing yoga and becoming a yoga teacher that you don't really know, like, what should I look for in this training program that I'm going out to do? And definitely business was not something that I thought about. I thought like, okay, we got to make sure I've got anatomy and that I've got, adjustments and the yoga philosophy. I never thought like, oh, I'm going to have a business in this afterwards. And in order to teach full time, I need to understand all those aspects of how to sell myself and market myself and put myself out there.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. I think that is really important. And how would you know to look for it? Unless somebody recommends it to you, that's something that's important. All right. So can you just tell us a little bit about what the Yoga Alliance is, and we can start to dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. So Yoga Alliance is sort of positioned as the governing body over yoga in general. Yoga teacher trainings, certifications. So for me, I'm RYT 200, which is Registered Yoga Teacher 200. Once you've taught a certain number of hours, you get an E in front of that. And then, once you've done your 500 or your 300-hour training, your 500-hour train, then you can be RYT 500. Once you've taught so many hours in that, you get your E RYT 500. And from there, you can offer continuing education. So they've set up these certain guidelines within Yoga Alliance to kind of, I guess they figured like once you've taught this many hours, then you you can be recognized differently. And, once you've got this training, you're recognized differently. So it kind of allows yoga teachers to be, I guess, set apart in terms of their training and their experience a little bit. It is a paid service. You pay, once a year to be, I guess, like Yoga Alliance certified. And it's kind of become like the one governing body in the yoga world. Like it's the one sort of platform that people turn to, which is kind of interesting because I feel like there's been a recent movement where people are kind of, turning to Yoga Alliance and being like, you're not doing a good enough job with this. Like, why are we paying you for this thing that you're not really doing that well?
Yeah.
So it's kind of become like I don't know if contentious is the right word, but definitely an interesting topic to kind of dive into just recently, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I'm not trying to talk bad about it, but I do know that whenever I go into input hours or anything like that, basically, I mean, it's just taking your word for it, so they don't really check on those facts. You just put in the hours and then you pay them and then you get that certification, so that's just what I've seen. I'm not saying it's bad or good. That's just what I've noticed.
Yeah, definitely. So I think it's positioned as this thing that, ensures that everything's happening really well, really standardized in the yoga industry. But I think it's actually really hard to monitor that. And, I haven't set up a teacher training in there, but the biggest question for me is like, how do you ensure quality? Like just because somebody submits like, oh yeah, I'm covering 30 hours of anatomy, nobody from Yoga Alliance is sitting in these teacher training programs. So it's really easy to say like, oh, I'm doing this, I'm covering this, and not actually be a quality program, even though you're Yoga Alliance certified.
For sure. Yeah, because there's a lot of, newer teachers that I think that you have to be maybe ERYT to lead teacher trainings that are through the Yoga Alliance. Do you know if that's right?
I think that is right. And I think you actually might need to be ERYT 500.
I don't think so. I think 200.
No.
And so that's really not giving you tons of experience. I mean, you maybe haven't even been teaching that long. So if you're an ERYT 200, I think you've been teaching 1,000 hours is it. And so, regardless of, hopefully they all have taught that 1,000 hours, but still to be a lead trainer in a yoga teacher training program and to have only taught 1,000 hours, I'm not sure I'm sure some people do have all the skills needed, but there might be some that don't,
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. I think that there's a lot of different things that people should be looking at, like, who is this teacher? Do you resonate with them? Have you practiced with them either online or in person? Have you had a conversation with them? Do you understand exactly what you're paying for? And these were all questions that I didn't ask when I did my teacher training program that I wish I would have asked. And I mean, my training program was fine. Like I got, what I was looking for out of it. But I think knowing what I know now, there's a lot of other things that I could have done to ensure that I was getting the best possible training and not just being like, okay, it's Yoga Alliance certified, so it'll be good enough.
Right.
And I think that that's kind of what, people had said, like, just make sure your training's Yoga Alliance certified. Like, as long as it's Yoga Alliance certified, you'll be good. And I really don't think that that's the case. Like, I don't think that this seal of approval from Yoga Alliance means much in the yoga world at this point because, like I said before, they're not sitting in on these trainings. It's all done based on the sort of the honor policy. And you want to hope that especially in an industry like yoga where people believe in karma and, doing good for the world, that people are doing what they're saying they're doing, but unfortunately it's not always the case. And so I think there's, diving a little bit deeper to get your questions answered is more important than just looking at the seal of approval.
For sure. And I think that we get in trouble too, because, one of the things, it's just kind of one of the known things. I mean, I don't believe this to be true, but a lot of people do, is that that's the only way to make money. As a yoga teacher, the only way to make money is by doing yoga teacher trainings. And I think that that's not true at all. But I think that that's kind of a common belief out there in the yoga world. And so especially if you've got a studio and you've got bills to pay and things like that, you've got a lot of pressure to start bringing in some money. And so I think that, even if they don't feel prepared or not, they start a teacher training program just to kind of start getting that cash flow come in. As a prior yoga studio owner, I can totally see, how that could come about. So.
Yeah, I think that that's one of the things, like I hear, like in my teacher training program, most people were like, either I'm going to open a yoga studio or I'm going to, eventually run teacher training programs. And to me, as somebody who's been teaching for 3 years, like I still consider myself quite new in the teaching world. Like I think I would love to run teacher training programs, but that's way down the road for me in terms of being a lead teacher, and that, you know, like I have a lot to learn in a lot of the other areas. And I think that it's, you know, really important to be honest with yourself with that, like not just looking at, you know, what's the easiest way to make money in this industry, or what's the best way to make money in this industry. And there's, you know, lots of different ways, like you said. But I sort of think that that's like almost the bottom of the sales funnel. Like, you know, there's your studio classes, and then diving into privates, I think, is like a natural sort of next step when you feel ready for that. And then workshops, I think, from there. And then once you've run, you know, some successful workshops, maybe some registered programs, then diving into retreats, and after retreats, diving into trainings. And by then you have not just a lot of like studio hours, but you've got a lot of in-person hours with other people and other teachers, and, you know, other people who have been teaching a lot longer than you that have that experience. And I think that that's really important before diving into trainings.
Yeah, and I like what you said about, you know, looking at the teacher training program kind of as a whole and seeing if you resonate with the teachers, you know, and that's why I like our program, is because we have a few different teachers for people to resonate with, but also to see what these teachers are doing with their training. You know, most of us, you know, have gone through a yoga teacher training program. And so I think that it's important to be like, is that something I'd want to do? Like, can I see myself kind of doing the kinds of things that they're doing? And that's because we teach what we know, right? And so yeah, I think that's a really good point. So thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. So do you have another kind of point or something you wanted to touch on around this?
Yeah, so I think that the biggest thing that I want to communicate with Yoga Alliance is that I don't think there's a right or a wrong. I think that when you're deciding on a teacher training program, if, you know, being Yoga Alliance certified is something that's going to be important for you or for the direction that you want to take your career, because, you know, there are definitely reasons to get a Yoga Alliance certified teacher training under your belts, then, you know, definitely make that decision for yourself. Like, I don't want to convince people either way. What I want to encourage people to do is to go out there and to look at programs and not just look like, oh, Yoga Alliance certified, check, this one's good enough. Like, really dive deep, ask those questions, get to know the teachers that are leading it, and find out if it's offering things that you want. And, you know, I've looked at so many different teacher training programs, and I think that they all kind of serve a different purpose within the industry. You know, some of them are a little bit more spiritual, some of them are more career-based, some are more geared around personal development, and just looking at, like, you know, what do I want to do? Like, what do I want to get out of this? Like, do I want to teach yoga full time? Because if you do, having something that does have some sort of business or career focus is really important, I think. And that's definitely something that my teacher training was missing, and something that, you know, for any future teacher trainings that I did, it would definitely be a key piece of the puzzle for me.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't just be looking to see if it was Yoga Alliance certified. I think that, you know, it's more important to me that it's with a teacher who has experience and who's, you know, working in the industry, and that, you know, I can get to know, and that they can get to know me, and we can really like have that relationship. Because I felt with my teacher training, you know, it was a pretty big group, and I felt like the teachers didn't really know me personally. So I wasn't able to have those like one-on-one conversations being like, this is what I need help with, or these are the questions I have. Instead, I just kind of, you know, sat back and took it all in. And when I got home from my teacher training program and dove into the community, that's when I was like, oh God.
Then it got real.
Yeah, I was like, I have all these questions that I don't have answers to. And I didn't, thankfully I had a good yoga community, so I had people I was able to turn to, but it wasn't the people in my teacher training that I turned to. And I think that one of the things that I love about, you know, the Yoga Goddess Academy teacher training is that everyone gets one-on-one sessions with all of the different teachers. And I think that that's a really important aspect. So they get to know all of us, we get to know all of them. And I feel like it's, you know, it's not just a relationship that's like, okay, you're in this program, now you're done, I'm never here for you again. It's like, you know, every single person has the support going down the road where they know, like, oh, you know, we touched on this thing, and like, now I'm actually using it. Like, how can I, you know, can you walk me through this? And it's like, absolutely, of course. Like, you've got that support system kind of built in.
Definitely. And you said that there are some reasons to get certified through the Yoga Alliance. I'm going to say one that I know of, and then you can kind of elaborate on those. So if you live in a densely populated area with a lot of yoga teachers, I would say that if the competition is really strong and you really want to be teaching daily classes at a studio, yeah, you should probably be registered through the Yoga Alliance, because a lot of the studios there might look for that. And that might be kind of their baseline. However, I mean, I've talked to a lot of people that have even done online yoga teacher trainings and things like that, and nobody even asked them. You know, you can teach at a lot of studios without it. You could teach at YMCA's, you could teach at gyms, usually as long as you say, you know, I'm a certified yoga teacher, which you will be going through an online yoga teacher training like ours. As long as you go through a certification program, you should be able to teach at most places. So again, yeah, it just depends on your end goal. For everything I do, I don't think it matters one bit that I'm a registered yoga teacher. So yeah, what do you have to add to that?
Yeah, so I think that that's a really great point. And I was actually not certified with Yoga Alliance, even though I was able to for like the first, I don't even know how many months, maybe up to a year that I was teaching.
Yeah.
And then I was kind of at a point where I was like, oh, I should probably check out this Yoga Alliance thing and I guess get certified. Like I was like, I feel like this must be what people are looking for.
Did you
And to be
notice
quite
a
honest,
difference, like, since
no,
you got
nobody,
registered?
no, nobody ever asked me. And I actually let my registration lapse after that. And then, you know, I re-registered again kind of earlier this year when I started teaching more online stuff, just as that credibility piece. But I actually don't feel like it adds any credibility. Like, I think that, you know, if somebody's worried about differentiating themselves in the industry, I don't necessarily think that that's the key piece of the puzzle. I think
No.
that you can do a lot of different things. Like, if you can create a beautiful resume and you have a solid pitch on who you are and why you should teach, even if you're new, if you can create a video that you can send somebody, if you can go in and teach a great audition, like, I think that that trumps, you know, a little R in front of your,
For sure.
your designation. Like, I think that the biggest thing is that people are looking for great yoga teachers.
Yeah.
And that, you know, it's kind of like the same thing as college. Like, you know, just because I have like a BCom doesn't make me better at business than somebody who doesn't have a BCom, who's worked their ass off to be really great in that industry. I think that all sort of designation things, like little letters people are putting after their names, are just not as powerful as they used to be. Like, I think they really served a purpose a number of years ago. And now it's like, prove what you can do, like show what you can do. And I think that being able to, you know, be taught those skills where you can put yourself out there is way more important than having a little R beside your name.
Well, and I think with all the business now, I'm sorry to interrupt you, like, people are buying people and personalities, and if they resonate with them or not. They're not, you know, and most people don't know what those things are. They don't know. So why does it matter? You know, the only people that might know would be the yoga studio owners and other yoga teachers. But most students are going to be like, well, I'm sorry, but do you have, you know, an ERYT 500? Okay, well, I can't practice with you. Like, they aren't going to say that stuff, and it doesn't make you necessarily a better teacher. What's going to make people come to your class is if they resonate with you or not. So that's why, like, by working with someone like you or Paloma or other business coach, is that you can get really clear on your intentions, why you're teaching, and who you really want to be teaching. And those people will find you.
Yeah, definitely. I 100% agree with that. I think that, you know, I've taught many different students and, you know, hundreds of different students, and nobody's ever been like, you know, what's your certification in this industry? You know, most of the time people don't even ask if you're certified. And of course, I'm not insinuating at all that you should teach not certified. I think that that's a really, really bad idea, because you could definitely hurt somebody and, you know, cue something in an incorrect way. But I think that, you know, if you go through a training and you feel confident, don't let, you know, a little letter or, you know, a certain little thing that differentiates your certification be the determining factor. And I think that this is why there's been, you know, quite a bit of, I guess, contentiousness around Yoga Alliance. And I'm in a lot of different Facebook groups where this conversation's been happening recently. And, you know, there's so many people who are just like really great yoga teachers who've been teaching for ages. And they're like, I'm not registered with Yoga Alliance. Like, you know, I don't feel like I need to keep track of all of my classes on a thing for them to tell me how experienced I am. Like, all I do is show up for my students every single day, and that shows them how experienced I am or how great I am as a teacher.
Yeah. And just something I wanted to clarify too is that you can get insurance. You know, if you go through a program and you're a certified yoga teacher, you can still get insurance. So I think that that's maybe a common question. And then also, so the reason why online yoga teacher training programs cannot be certified through the Yoga Alliance at this time is because you need to have 180 in-person contact hours where you're seeing, somebody face to face. Now, what we're going to be doing a lot at our training is we will actually be able to see everybody because we'll be in virtual classrooms, which is really amazing. And I think this is the way the future is moving, because this is how we can really find the communities that resonate with us. Like me, I live out in the middle of nowhere. You're traveling all over. So the beauty of this is that you can take your community wherever you go. You don't have to worry about moving or, not fitting in maybe with the local community that you have.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, I've seen Yoga Alliance kind of, step their game up around different things that are happening in the industry. And I think that this is another thing that is going to be moving towards. I would imagine that within the next year, if not couple of years, Yoga Alliance will have, certified online trainings, because like you said, it is the way the future is going. And I think that online yoga teacher trainings offer a really great advantage where you do have, this, it's essentially face-to-face contact. It's just through a screen.
Right.
Which is, virtually the same thing in a lot of different ways. I know there is something different about being in person and that sort of thing, but, being on a Zoom call or a Skype call can be very, very intimate. But I think that they'll be moving in the direction of, making that happen, because it allows people to really study with whatever teacher they want while being able to integrate with their communities at home. And I think that was, something that I kind of missed in mind. And I was excited to go away and do an integrated, international training. But then I came home and I was so disconnected from my yoga community that I love the idea of being able to study with whoever you want while taking those learnings into your community where you're going to be teaching in the future.
For sure. Awesome. Well, did you have any last things that you wanted to add in before we call it a day?
No, I don't think so. I'm definitely curious if anyone has any, different thoughts on Yoga Alliance or any additional thoughts. I'm totally open to them. And then again, just like I said, this is just a conversation around, kind of opening your mindset to something that's a little bit different, and just considering things that are maybe outside of the box or outside of what you've been told before. So really, think for yourself, make these decisions for yourself. I think that that's really important in all areas of life, but especially, when you're making a big decision like taking a teacher training program. For sure.
And then how can people find you online?
Yeah, so I'm at mbomyoga.com, so it's mbomyoga.com. I have a private Facebook community called Yoga Business Badasses, and my podcast is MBO Mastering the Business of Yoga, and you can find that on any podcasting platform, so Spotify, iTunes, Google Play.
Now, do they need to be yoga teachers already to be in your business group on Facebook?
Nope. Okay. No, it's for aspiring yoga teachers, current yoga teachers, new yoga teachers who've been teaching for 5, 10, 15 years. If you're interested in the business of yoga in any capacity, you're more than welcome in the group.
All right. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Amanda, for sharing that with us. It was awesome.
Thanks so much for your time today, Crystal.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
All right, you guys. So that was Amanda Kingsmith, and I highly recommend that you check out her Facebook group and her podcast. They're both awesome. And make sure that if you are interested in a yoga teacher training program, you really do your research, you look around, you see what teachers you resonate with, and see how important it is to have, that registered Yoga Alliance certificate or, recognition behind your name, because in some cases it might be important, in some cases it might not. So just feel free to ask any questions in the comments here, and we'll be more than happy to answer your questions. All right, have a great day. Bye. Namaste.